Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you're doing well. So today in our virtual lesson, I'm going to give you the answer key of the comprehension test, and I'm going to discuss with you how are we going to solve such questions, the comprehension questions, the organization questions, what are the things that should be included in your answers, what are the things that shouldn't be included, what are the things that we should stress on, what are the words also that we should include, especially in the organization questions. So all of these will be discussed in this virtual lesson. So please pay attention and let's get started. As you know, in the previous lesson, I gave you two tasks. The first one is the table that you have to fill within the sources of the clashes between the parents and the teenagers, and suggesting some solutions to these problems. I given you like I don't know, maybe 8, 9, I don't know, sources of clashes like curfew, cell phones, etc. And I asked you at that time to give solutions. And the task number 2 was the comprehension test that I gave that I sent you, and I asked you to read it and to solve the answers. So to solve the questions. So now in this virtual lesson, I'm going to give you the answer key and I'm going to discuss with you the answer key, and you should pay attention to the way I'm answering these questions, because you have to put the grade, which is over 10, and send me the grade. It's going to be an assessment. Okay, so let's start. So comprehension test here. So the first, okay, I don't know what's going on. The first question here: read the below selection in which the author highlights the role of the grand mentoring program to help young people in root independence. When you're through the reading, answer the questions that follows. Okay. How grand mentors are helping young how grand mentors are helping young care leavers find their fate. Okay, so what do you mean before going into the selection? What do you mean by find their feet or to find the feet? Okay, so when we say to find one's feet, this phrase means that they are starting to feel confident, um, to deal with things maybe successfully, to gain self-esteem maybe. So this is okay what this phrase find their fate means. Okay, so to find one's fate means that, or for someone to find his fate means that he's starting to get confident about himself, to get self-esteem, and to start to think about things and to deal with things in a successful and in a positive way. Okay, so now in this selection, we're going to discuss how grand mentors are helping young care leavers, okay, find their feet or to get their self-confidence and self-esteem. Despite the age, okay, I'm going to read that with you. Despite the age gap, Kay Anderson, 20, and Honor Atkinson, 54, have plenty in common. They both enjoy gardening, dogs, and going for coffee. By the way, I'm reading it for the first time because I'm going to give you the way. How am I going to answer the questions? Okay, so I'm going to give you the way I will think, okay, and how I'm going to answer these questions. Now, despite the age gap, Kay Anderson, 20, and Honor Atkinson, 54, have plenty in common. They both enjoy gardening, dogs, and going for coffee, and with Anderson expecting his first child, they have even bonded over nappy choices, as Atkinson has 3 children and 3 stepchildren. Of course, you know the word stepchildren, children, so you know these. Okay. The second one, Atkinson is Anderson's grand mentor. Grand mentor. You know the word mentor. She's part of a project that pairs up volunteers aged 50 and over with young care leavers in England to support them on the route to independence. So they are like some people who usually take care, okay, of these young people or of these young caregivers, to support them and to help them find their feet, or to help them get independent or confident, and to start deal with the things that encounters them in a positive way. So describing the moment they first met, Atkinson says, Kay stood out for me because of his charisma. He's very articulate and also very proactive. He knows what he wants, he just wasn't sure how to get there at the time. Okay, so he knows what he wants, but he doesn't know how to get these things, okay, how to deal with these things, how to get there, okay, at the time. 3, the scheme run by Volunteering Matters, a charity founded in 1962 to make volunteering more accessible and effective, aims to replicate the grandparents. Of course, I'm not gonna discuss all of these vocabs now because we have a question which is the context clues. So aims to replicate the grandparent role to draw on the benefits of intergenerational relationships. Volunteer manager Kelly Kick says, grandparents are one generation removed, and they come with the life skills, patience, resilience, and determination. It's this perfect blend and dynamic. It just works. Now, the Grand Mentoring Scheme started 10 years ago and is now running in 8 locations in England, including in Milton Keynes, where Anderson and Atkinson live. So here, like, they're speaking about the background of this organization. 5, the charity works in partnership with local authorities, and this year expects to match up 500 young caregivers and grand mentors. Anderson was referred by his advisor, who took over from his social worker when Anderson left the care system. Anderson says the fact that Atkinson is giving up her time free of charge is important. A lot of the time I find myself reluctant to engage with someone who's just working with me 9-5. This is a lot more laid back and there's integrity behind it. He meets Atkinson weekly for a catch up, but will also message her in between whenever a problem crops up. Anderson was taken away from his mother when he was 3 and moved in with his grandparents. So he was living with his grandparents. I did quite well academically and socially, and it wasn't until my granddad passed away when I was 14 that everything went downhill in my life. So everything was good until his grandfather died or passed away at that time. So everything like changed, okay? So mental health, drugs, homelessness, poor education, it was self-destructing mode, and I couldn't see myself coming out of it. So at that time, when he was 14, he started to be addicted on drugs, homelessness, poor education. That's why he was distracted at that time, and he couldn't know how to like come out of this problem. He eventually ended up in semi-independent supported living where he stayed until he was 18. So semi-independent, he's not fully independent until he was 18. When that support ended, he managed to find his place to stay, but until he joined the Grand Mentor Scheme, he says he was struggling with his mental health. So he had a problem with his mental health, of course, because he was like addicted to drugs, and before he like found this organization. 5 months into their mentorship, now after taking care of him and after this mentorship, Anderson is transformed. He changed. He's working in a job he loves as a behavioral mentor in a high school, a role Atkinson found and encouraged him to apply for. He's learning to drive, saving money, and organizing antenatal classes in preparation for the birth of his daughter. So he's now like start to know how to deal with things, how to organize things, how to manage things. And he overcame this mental problems that he was suffering from. Atkinson says he's become calmer. He worries less about things. Now he's describing this transformation, what happened, okay? So he becomes calmer, he worries less about things. He doesn't like, first of all, he was worrying about things. Now, he doesn't worry because he knows how to deal with these problems, and he has more confidence. It's a supportive relationship, but it's about helping him to achieve his goals himself. So of course, this mentorship his mentors try to help or to support him, but they try to help him not to give him what he wants all the time. They try to help him in letting him know how to achieve his goals, how to achieve his aims, okay, throughout his life. So a trained counselor, Atkinson says, she loves working with young people. The mentees keep me young, and I love their vibrancy. Anderson isn't the only success story. So, of course, this is one of the successful stories, but this is not the only success story. Volunteering Matters says 82% of young people involved in the Grand Mentors program are in education, employment, or training 6 months after leaving the care system, compared with just 29% at the start of the program. So 82% are really progressing. And with 40% of care leavers in England not in education, employment, or training, the charity is in discussions with other local authorities in Britain about rolling the scheme out more widely. And now they are like trying to discuss with the local authorities. Maybe they can like widen up their activity. Bach and Milton Keynes, Anderson is positive about the future. Now I feel a lot happier. I can sleep a lot easier. If I'm worrying about something, I can talk to Honor about it and know that I can find a solution. So whenever I have a problem, I know that for every problem there is a solution. And that's what that's the conclusion of this story that we were speaking about. Now let's shift to the first part, which is the comprehension questions. Answer each of the following questions in 1-3 complete sentences of your own words. And let me stress here on something, which is your own words. When I say own words, then you should avoid plagiarism. You should avoid copying pasting, because whenever you copy paste from the text, then you're gonna take only a quarter. Whatever the grade is, whatever the score is, you're gonna take a quarter. That's why you should, of course, you should take the answer from the text, but you shouldn't write it copy paste from the text. You should write it in your own words. You should try to use your own language. Okay, so this is the first thing that I want to stress here. On this part, you should write in your own words, because copy pasting is let's say you'll take only 1/4. Okay, 1. So refer to paragraphs 2 and 5 to give a brief definition of the word mentor. What do I mean by the word mentor? Let's shift to paragraphs 2 and 5 to see what does the word mentor mean. Okay, let's shift back 2 and 5 to 2. Sorry. Atkinson, I will read it again because I have to find out what does this word mean. Atkinson is Anderson's grand mentor. Okay, so she's the grand mentor. I don't know what does this word mean, so I have to read, okay, in order to know what does this word mean, from the context, from the description maybe, from the words. Let's see. She's part of a project that pairs up volunteers aged 50 and over with young care leavers in England to support them on their route to independence. So she's the grand mentor, and this grand mentor usually support someone, young care leavers, pay attention to this word, support them on the route to independence, in order to get independence, in order to get confident, be confident, in order to get self-esteem. Okay, so this is one of the functions, okay, of mentoring. Describing the moment they first met, Atkinson says, stood out for me because of the charisma. Is very articulate and also very proactive. He knows what he wants. He just blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the first characteristic of this word, mentoring, is to support someone. To support someone. This is the first thing. To support, to protect, to help. Okay. These are the words. Now, shifting to paragraph 5. Let's see what does this word mean. The charity works mentoring in partnership with local authorities, and this year expects to match up 500 young care leavers and grand mentors. Anderson was referred by his advisor who took over from his social worker when Anderson left the care system. Anderson says the fact that Atkinson is giving up her time free of charge is important, so she's like volunteering all the time. A lot of the time I find myself reluctant to engage with someone who's just working with me. This is a lot more laid back and there's integrity behind it. He meets Atkinson weekly for a catch up, but will also message her in between whenever a problem crops up. So she's someone that meets up with Anderson and catch up with him and solve his problems. Okay, so now what does this word mean? What does mentoring mean? We can say we have these words: supporting, helping, solving problems, maybe giving help, giving advice. This is one of the most important things, giving advice. We can see also that Anderson is less experienced. Atkinson is the one who's giving him advice to deal with the future, to deal with the problems. So this is, okay, what the word mentor means. Okay, so according to these paragraphs, I tried to conclude what does this word mean, and now we can see that the answer is a mentor is someone willing to spend his or her time and expertise to guide the development of another person free of any charge. Okay, so here I've like mixed all of these words with each other as if you like I'm blended them together, and I've given this brief definition. So this is what I mean by mentoring. Mentoring means, or a mentor, he's someone who wills to spend or his time for free, of course, as we said, because out of any charge, she's volunteering at the time, and guide, help, support, okay, the development of another person, or we can say of another less experienced person free of any charge. Good. Now, this is over 1, as you can see, the score is over 1, and it should be in your own word. If you didn't mention it in your own word, if you like copy paste, you'll take only a quarter. And let's shift to the next one. Based on paragraph 3, when I like here, you can notice something. When I say refer to paragraphs 2 and 5, just refer to these 2 paragraphs. Just refer to these 2. Okay, I'm making things easier for you when I like mention the paragraphs. So please be abided with the paragraphs that I'm trying to give you in the question. Now, based on paragraph 3, what is the aim of the Grand Mentoring Program? What is the aim? What is the goal? Come on, let's shift to paragraph 3. Okay, so let's shift to paragraph 3. Here we have 3. All right, so what is the aim? The scheme run by Volunteering Matters, a charity founded in 1962 to make volunteering more accessible and effective, aims to replicate the grandparent role, okay, to replicate the grandparent role, to draw on the benefits of intergenerational relationships. Now, we have this sentence. I can't understand this sentence if I don't have an accurate understanding of this word, because the word replicate may change the whole meaning of this sentence, as you can see. So, aims to replicate the grandparent role to draw on the benefits of intergenerational relationships. So intergenerational is something which is like the relationship between 2 generations, maybe 3 generations. Okay, so replicate, what does that mean? Replicate, from the context of the sentence, we can see that to replicate something is to like to copy it, to repeat it. Okay, so this is what replicate mean. Replicate means to copy something. Here they are trying to copy or to repeat, okay, the grandparent role. Sometimes parents, they children, they don't have like grandparents living with them, and we know that in the family grandparents play a very important role, okay, in raising the self-esteem, the confidence in the individual or in the children. So here they try to replicate and copy the grandparent role to draw on the benefits of intergenerational relationships. Volunteer manager Kelly Cook says grandparents are one generation removed, okay, and they come with life skills, patience, resilience, and determination. It's this perfect blend and dynamic. So because they have this skill, patience, etc., experience, okay, we have to copy their role and to get these grandparents into this like a charity program or volunteering matters to help other young people, to give them experience, to give them advices, to support them, to help them. Okay, so here we get an insight, okay, about what does this program, sorry, what does this program usually aim to? Okay, so the project aims to promote the role of grandparents in the lives of youth. Hence, grandparents are very often role models and mentors for young generations. They can teach those values, patience, and determination. Okay, because they are more experienced, and it's over one, as you know. Now let's shift to number 3. In reference to paragraph 6, state the problems which Anderson encountered after the death of his grandpa. All right, let's shift to paragraph 6. Paragraph 6. Anderson was taken away from his mother when he was 3 and moved in with his grandparents. I did quite well academically and socially, and it wasn't until my granddad passed away. So, when his granddad passed away, when I was 14, that everything went down in my life, he says. So, mental health, drugs, homelessness, poor education, it was self-destructing mode, and I couldn't see myself coming out of it. So, what are the problems that he suffered from? They are already mentioned here. He was addicted to drugs. He suffered from some mental problems, homelessness, poor education, like academically, he had problems in his academic life, and all of these like distracted him. Okay, so this is how you should answer also these questions. Let's shift to the answer. So the death of Anderson's grandfather was a turning point in his life. He became homeless and addicted to drugs. Also, he suffered from mental health problems and had no chance to follow up on his education. Also, this is over one, and you can see that we're writing like in a paragraph form, okay? Based on paragraphs 8 and 9. Inferential. This is an inferential question, conclusion. You have to conclude. Based on something, you have to conclude. So infer the influential role grand mentors play in the lives of the youth. I think that we've mentioned this. Okay, so paragraphs 8 and 9. One can infer that a grand mentor can play a significant role in young people's lives. Such a mentor can help young people to improve their social skills, choose their careers, as we said, to deal with problems, their self-esteem, to boost their self-esteem and self-efficacy, and set goals for themselves. That's why we need to stress the importance of youth mentoring programs in improving the well-being of the young. And as you can see in paragraph 9, he mentioned this when he concluded that I have to deal with the future. Now I can deal with the future. Now I can deal with the problems. Now I don't worry when I have a problem. I can solve these problems. So this was revealed in his conclusion. Okay, and now let's shift to the second part, which is the organization part. Answer each of the following questions in a complete sentence of your own words. How does the title reflect the main idea of the above text? All right, now let's shift to the title. All right, so let's shift to the title. Here we are. All right, all right, all right, and all right. Yes. How grand mentors are, sorry for the music. Okay. How grand mentors are helping young caregivers find their feet. How is this title related to the content, to the main idea of the text? We can say that in the main idea of the text is an organization or a project that replicate grandparents, okay, that copy the role of the grandparents in order to help the youth, the less experienced youth, to deal with their problems, to get self-confidence, self-esteem, etc., to support them, to help them, to give them an advice. So this is the role of the grand or the project that the text was talking about, which is the grand mentors. So are helping young caregivers find their fate, which means like giving them, as we said, self-esteem, confidence, etc. So this title reflects the content or the main idea because they are related in how these grand mentors or the project replicates or copies the grandparents' role in order to give a hand for the youth, the less experienced youth, and to help them get independent, to boost their self-esteem, self-confidence, and to support them find solutions for their problems. So this is how we should connect between the title and the main idea. Okay, so here we can see, sorry for the swiping all the time. So here we have, how does the title reflect? This is over 2. The title, how grand mentors are helping young caregivers find their fate, directly reflects the main idea of the selection, which is the role of grand mentoring programs in empowering youngsters to find their root to independence. When the young are empowered, society becomes the right place to all live. They will assist in the economic activities of the community where they find themselves, and in turn both families and the entire nation benefits. Okay, so yeah, now shifting to the second one and the last one, how does the writer of the above text achieve objectivity and credibility? Illustrate by giving 2 specific examples. So as you know, when we want to achieve credibility in our essays, we usually use many or various means of support and evidence, like statistics, maybe historical backgrounds, maybe, I don't know, facts, interesting facts, dates, people, maybe sometimes interviews. So what are these means of support that were used by the writer? Here we can shift and we can say that he used maybe statistics, I can see. And here we have like statistics, 29%, 40%, 82 of the young people. So this is one of the means of support that he used. And also we have facts, because he used like this: volunteering matters, England, places. So England is not in education. So these are means of support. Also anecdote, like he's given us a real story about Anderson. Okay, so these are the means of support that he uses in order to achieve credibility in his text. So we can answer also in a paragraph. We should answer in a paragraph form. To achieve credibility, the writer uses different types of evidence. First, he uses facts, such as real names, and we should mention them, places, England, and specific dates. By the way, when you want to write facts, okay, he used facts, but you have to mention these facts, and you have to mention that this is a name, this is a date, this is a place, and you shouldn't mention only these. You have to first mention facts, okay? Besides, he used the statistical figures, and these are the statistical figures. And at the end, we have the context clues. You can correct them. Each is over a quarter. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Hope you're benefited from it. If you have any question, you can raise it on the group, I think on the Teams group, because we're gonna start with it on Monday. And until then, stay safe and goodbye, ladies.